Well, howdy, all you collector car fans out there. This is once again Jason, the owner and founder of Southern Bush Motorsports. So we got a great Tales from the Bush from me today. The world's only four-piece Superbird. I thought that would be a good headline, but so this is where we're at. This was a Superbird I found a long time. That's a satellite that was going to be used for a body, but this Superbird, I remember finding this car when it was all together, and it was rough. And you couldn't save the car. I believe it was a swamp car or a flood car because it was just rotted in places it shouldn't be rotted. So I passed on the car, and another guy that I knew had the car, and he basically did the only thing you really could do if you were going to save it. He cut out the important pieces and garbaged the rest of it. So this is where you get into that fine line where you find a car to rebody, like this 70 satellite that's super solid, and you put the satellite or you put the car that you want to rebody to and all the Superbird parts, and you close the door to your shop. It's a little dishonest, but you do what you got to do, and unfortunately that's what people do. I mean, the Superbird itself was a 1970 440 4-speed Dana rear end car. Wasn't a six-pack, but it was a Dana rear end car. And it was a numbers matching car, numbers matching motor, transmission, and rear end. So, you save it. So he cut out the 4-speed hump and stuff out of the original car, so he'd have all that. So this, for future generations to know, is why when you have a car inspected, a high-end car like a Superbird or something, you don't just look in your online for an inspector and get an inspector to go out. Because I'll tell you, when this car was done, nobody's going to see it unless you're really good. Unless you really know what you're looking at, because before you get down to all the paint and all that, if somebody's good at metal work, they're going to make sure that you can't tell that car's been rebodied. But the original Superbird was not savable, so what do? Do you just garbage a 444 speed Dana rear end Superbird? Heck no. The only choice you have is to take a car like this, that 70 satellite, and like I said, grab all the parts you can off the car, the numbers and all that stuff. Like this, he cut the back end of the car off, and the center console area of the car, the fenders, the hood, the wing, and you put it all together in a garage and you shut the door. And 2 years, 3 years later, you come out with a numbers matching, perfectly solid, perfectly painted 444 speed Dana rear end car. And you're the only one that knows what happened in that shop. So for the people that will be coming here that won't know about this stuff, the older people that have been around these cars know what it means, but rebodying is exactly that. You took bits and pieces of a car and you cut them into another car that was more solid, and you closed the door and you made it all look like one. That's why inspections by experienced people are so important, because 20, 25 years from now, there's a big difference when you're honest about it and say that the car has been rebodied, but it wasn't an original 444 speed Dana rear end Superbird. Okay, so you're going to get 75, 90 grand for the car. If you're dishonest about it and tell them it was a numbers match and 444 speed Dana rear end yellow Superbird, you're going to get 125, 130, 140 grand for it. So there's a lot of incentive to not be honest about it, but again, that's why inspections are so important, because somebody that would know what they're looking at would feel for the weld marks where the numbers had been welded in and tried to be filed off, but you can never get it perfect. There's going to be a bit of a lip there where there shouldn't be a lip. But it was a shame, because this car actually, if I remember right, it had no wheels on it, and it was just lying on the ground. Now, going through my old emails, I'm not saying this is what the exact same car when it's done. This is what would happen for an example of people. It is the same criteria as the other car, and again, I'm not saying that this was the car in a more finished stage, but when you see the engine compartment pictures, it kind of looks like it might be the same car, but I don't have numbers for either one of them. I just was able to read off the email that I had on what the car was, and I remember seeing the car, so I know it originally started as a real Superbird. But look at this car now. Somebody would take pieces of a chopped up Superbird, put it into a nice satellite, cut off those numbers and put in the Superbird numbers and buff it all up and primer it all out. You're not going to be able to tell the difference. A lot of people wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And when you're out there inspecting the car, you get all excited because numbers match a motor, transmission, rear end, yippee-ha, it's a real Superbird. And it only takes that a little bit of not paying attention to feel the lip underneath where the number is on the fender well, or if that fender tag's been repopped, or if the number's in the lip of the trunk lid. These are things that can be easily overlooked, and now you're essentially buying a fake Superbird. Really, you're buying like a Frankenstein car. Just when you look at these engine compartment pictures, it kind of made me think it's probably not the same bird with all the parts put into it and stuff, but I don't know. That's what I thought, but this is what it would look like. Enough experience, enough knowledge on how to replace those numbers and put them into a nice solid body. At the end of the day, you're getting a Superbird. It's just didn't come from the factory like that. This is the part of the business that really sucks, because this is why inspections are so important and so crucial, because you could be overpaying for a car when, yeah, you technically are buying a Superbird, but it definitely didn't come from the factory like that. And again, this is for the future generations, that if you're going to spend $100,000, $200,000 on a car, don't just send a guy that you found on the internet out to do the inspection. Yes, they're very good at being inspectors. They're very good at their job, but more than half to 75% of the time, they don't know muscle cars, and they don't know the things that can be done to a muscle car. Because a lot can be done to these cars behind closed doors by some very skilled and talented metalsmith people out there, and people that have been restoring these cars for a long time. We know what to do and how to do it, and it's going to get done. I felt it was important to show this other Superbird so you can see what the kind of middle stages would be if you had those bits and pieces of a Superbird and a nice body, and then you started putting it together with another one. This is obviously an automatic car, which I would switch it over to a 4-speed. I've always liked the 4-speeds, but a lot of people don't know. The reason a lot of these cars became automatic is because back in the late 60s, early 70s, dealerships were offering free automatic transmissions. So a lot of people went with that option because they thought it'd be better than shifting gears. Thank God not everybody did it, because those 4-speeds are kind of hard to come by now. But I like to call the 4-speeds an automatic anti-theft device, because you take a kid off the street right now and set them in a 4-speed car and say, hey, drive, they're not going to be able to move that car. And if they did, they'd get it about a foot and rabbit hop it. So it's a natural anti-theft device. But you know what? I don't blame somebody for doing what they would need to do with that Superbird. If you're honest about it, fair game, power to you. It's important to save the cars no matter how rough they are. There's a lot of TV shows out there. The thing that I wanted to say, especially about what I didn't have a buddy call me and I go look at a rare collection of all these six-pack and Hemi Cudas and all that. They're behind a buddy shop. I didn't have buddies. I had to go find these cars on my own. There was no one making calls to me. It happened a few times, but I'm not doing this whole tales from the bush off of a buddy called me to come and check on his collection of cars, somebody that I already knew, and making a whole archaeology show about it. Good show, but it's, I had to do the legwork, because when I was doing this, nobody else was doing it. Nobody was out there doing this full time. I had no buddies out there because I didn't know anyone. I was new to the field. So I made a lot of friends when I was out there, but there was no phone calls, come look at this, come look at that. It ended up happening a little bit halfway through my career where people started to get to know that I was out there, but it was no easy trip for me. This was all hard work, legwork, and a lot of sacrifice. So the moral of this story for the future generations, sorry for the people that already know this, wasting your time. Inspect, inspect, inspect. Don't just hire any inspector. Make sure that they have a credibility of inspecting muscle cars. Don't get your buddy that says he knows about these cars to go and inspect it unless you know he knows exactly what he's looking at, because you don't know what's been done to this car. Look at this car, some bits and pieces, front end missing off. You just don't know what's been done to these cars to get it to that beautiful finished point that you're about to drive and buy. Unless you've got somebody that's honest and showing you all the restoration pictures and all that stuff. I've had people that have bought beautiful cars and didn't bother to check with me first and called me later because they thought something was off, and I ended up pulling up pictures from it from 10 years ago when that car was rotted out in the field, and it was the exact same car. Then it showed it in the body shop being all cut up, but the car that he got was beautiful. So inspections are absolutely crucial. It's imperative that you get a good inspection done. At the end of the day, this is a rebodied Superbird, but if you're honest about it, it is what it is. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. It really does help out a lot. I appreciate all the comments. You can keep all the bad ones to yourself, but some people can't help it. And don't forget to come back and check out more Tales from the Bush. This is Jason from Southern Bush Motorsports.